Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ground Up with Natalee, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on what it actually takes to build a career in the entertainment industry as an actor. I sit down with actors, directors, and casting directors to talk about the real, unfiltered journey, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. No gatekeeping, no overnight success myths, just honest conversations to remind you that you're not alone and that you too can follow this dream. I hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ground Up with Natalee. Today we have a massive voiceover actor, Chermi Leigh, who actually plays Sailor Venus in Sailor Moon. Ever heard of it? I don't know. But her and I were on a show, 911, together. We both talked about how that was one of our favorite guest star shows that we did. That's where we met. And we just had the best time. So today I pick her brain on all things voiceover acting and what it's like to be in a booth, what it's like to pursue a career in voiceover acting. She has been doing this since she was 5 years old, so she knows a thing or two. And overall, it was so fun to pick her brain, get her story, and there were so many tips and tricks in there. And I learned so much because I'm an on-camera actor, obviously. So I didn't know like 90% of the things that she shared in this episode. So it was so fun to learn from her today and gain a new perspective. It's always good for us actors to be learning about other sides of the industry. I've always been curious about like dabbling in voice acting. Like, what does that even mean? Do I put a reel together? And I ask her all of those questions in this episode. So make sure to give it a listen. And as always, if you enjoy it, please rate the podcast and send this episode to a friend. In the voiceover world, like there's probably like there's success, but like no one sees it on like an actor screen acting success. You're just like, oh yeah, that's like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Or like a TV actor, I don't know, Sterling K. Brown, who I'm currently obsessed with, you know? And it's
incredible.
Oh my God, so good.
I don't think that he's ever not brilliant, in any moment.
No, truly though, that a masterclass in acting.
A masterclass.
Did you watch Paradise?
I haven't finished Paradise.
Okay.
Because it came out when I had a tiny baby, so it was very hard for me to watch. But I was obsessed after This Is Us.
Me too. That was my first love for him.
Yeah.
But anything since that he's been in has been terrific. Also
fantastic.
But anyway, so yeah, you're like, oh yeah, Sterling K. Brown, super successful. But I'm like, voiceover acting, like you are the you are the Natalie Portman.
No. Not even close.
Okay, but
that's very kind.
You work a whole ton, but I'm really excited to hear how you started and everything like that.
Cool.
Okay, well, we start every episode with the Ground Up 3.
Yay.
3 simple questions. Number 1, I'd love to know, where are you from, Cherami?
I am from Texas. I grew up in a suburb outside of Dallas. So there was a decent market for acting in Dallas, so that's where I started acting and then moved here in my early 20s.
Okay. My sister lives in Royce City.
Oh, yeah.
That's a suburb outside of Dallas, right? Yeah. But like east, it's east.
I think it's east.
It is.
Texas is like such, the amount of traveling I've done, people will say like, oh, I'm in Chattanooga, but I'll drive to meet you in Atlanta. And I'm like, you're going to go through like 4 states just to come here? And in Texas and California, like you can drive for days. Literally. And you'll still be in Texas and California.
Yep.
That's it.
That's so true. Okay, what was your first dream job when you were a little girl?
First dream job, I wanted to be a director for film and TV. I always wanted to be a director.
So you always wanted to be in the industry in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah.
Creating?
Yeah. I started asking my parents for an agent or to be... My mom was a dance teacher. She had a student that was on Barney. So that was like attainable, that I was like, oh, she's on the show. I know her. I could be on the show. So I was like,
that's my connection.
Yeah, I was like, I want to be on Barney. My
away.
Parents were like, no, we do not want you in this business. My mom did commercials in Dallas when she was young and hated it. When she did it, which this is like horrendous, they would line all the kids up and say like, you can go, you can stay. Yep. You could go to their face. My mom was like, I don't want that for my daughter, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, Mom, I want to do this. So she just made it really hard for me. She took me to open calls. She took me to classes with kids older than me to try to show me like, see, it's not fun. You don't want to do this. And I just loved it.
Right, open calls because they berate you. And she's like, you don't like this, right? And you're like, joke's on you, Mom. I love it.
You want to stay here and wait in line all day and then speak for 5 minutes? I'm like,
yeah. It is weird how it's like inside of us.
Oh, yeah.
And we know, even though we don't know the concept, there's no way you knew exactly what a director was.
No.
When you were that young.
No.
But for you to say that, I feel like that's because we're so like close to the universe at that age, you know? We like,
you know what the feeling is. And I think that what I loved about a director was it was a creative position. It was connected. It was like the center of the family, knew how to communicate with all these different people. So it was like, felt like a problem solver, a collaborator. But it was a position of like creative power. And I think that as I've gotten older, being in this industry, you feel so powerless. So
you knew that young. You're like,
I was like, I want to hold on. I want to be the one making the decisions. Although I've gotten to direct a couple of projects as an adult, and man, once you're behind making those decisions, then you start to second guess everything because you're like, I don't want to make the wrong choice.
You have to be so confident, to be a director and be like, yep, this is the way. Because also, there's so many ways to do.
There's so many, that's what's so nice about when you're directing in voiceover. Is you'll just say like, ooh, I like that take. I like that take. We'll just keep like 3 alts. And then when we're like putting the mix together, because you also don't know what the other actors are going to do because you direct each actor one at a time.
That's so fascinating.
So you're like, I'm going to save this. Oh, that was interesting. That was out of the box. I'm going to save that as an alt. So like all of my engineers are like, we have 9,000 alts. Cherami.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I want to have the choices.
I want to have the choices.
I want to have the best.
And then at that moment, is it easier to make the decision if you're listening to 3 alts or 6 alts?
Yeah. And sometimes you'll just like listen to what you put as the main and go, yeah, that was the choice. And if something pulls your ear a little bit, you're like, let me hear what my alts were. Most of the time, the first instinct is right, but then you'll like look at the scene once it's once everybody's recorded and go, oh, we can do that like funnier kind of off the wall option. It does play based on what the other actors gave. So,
and you're talking directing point of view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was your first dream job. What ended up being your first job, paid job? So like you're 15, or maybe it was voiceover.
My very first job as an actor where I got paid. I was 5. My mom was teaching dance. I was in a dance class. They came in. They said, "Can we have some kids come and like wrap these presents?" And so it was for like, I think it was for JCPenney's. It was going to like air in the store during Christmas, and it was just kids wrapping presents.
There you go.
And I got paid $100 to wrap this present, and it was a terrible job, but I was like, I have a picture of me with my present and my paycheck, which is great.
Do you really? Yeah. That's so cute. But $100, this is what, in the 2000s?
When I was like 5. Oh, no. It was like 90s.
Yeah, 90s. Okay.
Yeah, so that was like, I was like,
let's go.
I'm done. Can
You're
we
like,
buy
Mom,
a house
so
with
do
this?
aren't you down now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in Dallas. Well, first, since we're in childhood, what were you like as a kid? Because obviously you are, and I'm going to do an intro prior to this so people will know that you are an incredible voiceover actor that have done hundreds of episodes and films as well.
Yeah.
So creative. What were you like as a kid? Were you in these imaginary worlds? Were you dreaming
always
of these types of things?
Yeah. I was intense as a kid. I always wanted to be an adult. I always wanted to feel grown up. I loved hanging out with grown-ups. I did not like hanging out with kids my own age. I didn't feel like I fit in. I got bullied a lot in school. So getting to go to set, getting to audition, getting to do my job and feel like an adult, I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. All of this extra stuff, I know I have to go to school. I know I have to like go. That was the deal that my parents made. I had to go to school. I had to make straight A's in order to keep acting. And I had to have a hobby outside of acting, which was my mom was a dance teacher. So I would just go with her to dance classes because they didn't want my whole world to be this industry. Because I think they saw how much like I wanted to work. I loved it. I would research when I would get done, when I would leave a theater. I wanted to learn about the actors. I wanted to do So I mean, it really was such a passion for me. And I think that that's the trick. When you get into this industry and it's your job, you're very lucky that it's your job. It's such a tough industry, but it can be really, really hard, and it can be really draining when your passion and your, like, I don't know, what feeds your soul is also now what has to pay the bills. And so that can be like a really hard dance to do. You have to still find ways to keep things light, keep things fun, take the pressure off so that you don't get, your creativity doesn't get like zapped from you.
100%.
Yeah.
So you were auditioning early on then, it sounds like.
At
so,
like 6 was when I got an agent and started auditioning for
okay. So mom didn't stand a chance, really.
No, she tried real hard.
Yeah.
She was because she was a dance teacher, she was around a lot of dance moms, stage moms, that kind of stuff, and did not want any part of that. So I was very lucky to have parents who were supportive. They're like, this is clearly what she wants to do. But if I didn't book a job and was like heartbroken, they're like, you have an hour to cry, and then you got to get out of this, because if you're going to cry and this is going to ruin everything, you can't do it anymore.
Right, you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It will ruin your life, because they knew that you were up against 100 no's before booking something.
Yeah. And it also probably didn't help make their point that, like, I think my first or second audition I got. So it was like, I was like, see, look at this. They're like, fantastic, great, awesome. Yeah.
So that was for what? That was for not voiceover. You started
No,
out.
I did a commercial for the Penguin and the Pebble, Taco Bell. Like, they had like a little Happy Meal toy.
Big.
So I got to like dress up like a penguin in a tuxedo.
Stop.
And it was like 108 degrees outside, and we had to like waddle in a full tuxedo. And
that's your ground up story.
Yeah,
we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
That is your very
in a
first,
tuxedo
literally,
in the
besides
summer
the
heat.
wrapping presents. This is your first.
That was my
job.
first like big job that I auditioned for. And I do remember, again, what a perfectionist child I was. We had a camera that we had to color the coloring sheet that came with the Happy Meal, which that's not what it was called at Taco Bell, but you know what I mean. And they were like, just color it so much that it breaks the crayons. And I remember I looked at the director and I was like, I don't break things.
Yeah.
Like, I can color and not break it. He was like, color harder, we need to see. I'm like, oh, and I broke one crayon. He was like, that's it, Cherami. And I was like, this is horrible.
This does not feel right.
Yeah, I don't break things. So yeah.
You're like, I want to be a director, so I don't give that direction.
So I don't like traumatize a child breaking toys.
Yeah. So, okay, so now let's go to like teenage years. You've been auditioning for a while. You finished high school. Did you end up going to college at all?
I did go to college. I tried to go to, I toured schools here, I toured schools in New York, and I toured schools in Texas. And I met with all the departments. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do like the film route, if I wanted to do like screenwriting, or if I wanted to do the theater route. And they all said, you've got to quit the business. You can't be auditioning until you're done at our program.
This rule.
Yeah.
That I don't
and
understand.
I said,
I'm a working
actor.
actor.
I'm a working actor. I said, I have clients. Like, I was 16, 17. I had people that I was recording with regularly. I was working at Radio Disney. I had my own radio show from 8 to midnight, Saturday and Sunday. They were like,
Whoa.
no, you gotta cut all that out. And I was like, I'm the voice of the station, and I have my own show. And so I went to a community college because I love school. Like, I love learning. I think it's so much fun. And then I booked 2 films, and it just ended up like I would find professors that were like, you can't take your exam early. You just got to drop. And so I kept like trying to go back to school, and then I'd book another film and have to take 3 weeks off or take 2 weeks off, and then have to drop all my classes or drop all but one if that was a cool teacher. So I really tried, and I would love to get to go back to school and like get some sort of a degree, just because I think I love getting to experience things and like check things off the list of like, I did it. But yeah, they make it real hard.
Yeah, when I first heard about this, because I didn't go to college at all, and I'm from Orange County, so I kind of just drove straight to LA and started that route. But I remember hearing that like 5 years ago, if someone's like, no, if you go to NYU, you can't audition, and I'm like,
at all.
Wait, I'm confused. That's the whole
whole point.
And apparently, you know, they don't teach you, which is kind of the basis behind everything that I do now as far as my mentorship and the podcast and everything, is they don't teach you the real world boots on the ground stuff.
No.
When you get here of like, here's how hopefully you can get an agent or manager.
No. That's like, and I don't know if that's, because I know there's usually a showcase that comes from what I've seen. So I don't know if they want to give that information because they would like people, they want to get like reputable agents or casting directors to come to the showcase so that they could say like, oh, they found them at our showcase, if that's the situation.
And it's like, oh, these actors have been here 4 years. They haven't come out. They haven't been out of the doors.
Correct.
Like they're fresh and
Correct.
they're crisp.
Yeah. So
that actually makes sense.
I don't know if it's that sort of like they want to be able to protect their program and their image and that kind of stuff, or if it's just like they don't want actors that maybe aren't ready going and like meeting with agents and saying, "Oh, I'm with this program," and then they're like, "Oh God, I don't." So
that's
I could see it both ways.
That's true, and they want you to work on your craft, probably. Like straight up, not thinking about those business opportunities.
Correct. Yeah, and that's a totally valid thing. Like if you're trying to, I guess, have too many projects going or exploring too many things or jumping to step Z before you've even gotten A, B, and C done, it's going to backfire.
Totally, unless you like come out of the womb and you're just like naturally
ready to go.
You're ready to go.
Yeah.
Which was not I. So
it's none of us in areas. That's why we're here, is to learn.
Ground Up is sponsored by Mastermind Media. Whenever someone asks me, how do I get everything done between my social media, my podcast, I say, well, I don't do any of it. Mastermind Media helps me with all of it. They created my logo. All of those reels you see on TikTok and Instagram, it's them. My podcast, editing, all the graphics on YouTube, it's Mastermind Media. So in this digital age, I find that more and more people are needing a company like this who handles everything start to finish. So if you're interested in finally taking your business idea to the next level, definitely contact Mastermind Media. All of their information is in my show notes. Yes, you were working at 16 and 17, but you had planted this seed at 5.
Yeah, I worked all the way through. I had, and that was the thing that I remember when I was in high school. In my head, I had at least one big project a year. My first big project was like at, I think 8, I got to be on a guest star, and I had either one guest star or one movie that I did each year.
And this is not voiceover acting?
No, this was like on camera stuff. I started doing voiceover when I was 7.
Okay. So you were dancing between the two.
Yeah.
But you were auditioning for on camera things as well.
Yeah.
Where did you live when you went to college? You said
I lived in Texas.
Okay. When did you move? Did you move to LA?
Yeah, I moved in like early 20s. I was sending tapes back and forth always. And then I got a manager, and so then I was doing more tapes back and forth, and it just became that I was spending too much money on flights for producer-director sessions.
Yeah.
That I was like, I should probably just move, and then I'll fly back when I need to record on stuff that I'm recording on.
So you moved to LA, you get signed easily because you had been working, or you like sent pitch emails and you were trying to get referrals?
So
like, was it ever difficult, Cherami?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I moved out here in my early 20s. I had come out like for summer trips, and my mom and I would just do like, we're going to come out for a couple weeks and like
audition in
do
person,
some workshops and things like that, and see like, is this a good place where I fit? And we would set these like, I don't know, like little magical, we're going to look for these signs. Like if X amount of people want to sign you, like I came out for pilot season for the first time when I was 8, and my mom was like, if 1 agent wants to sign you, we're going to come home. If 2 want to sign you, we'll talk about it. If 3 want to sign you, and I had like 4 meetings. And so I remember the whole like trip, I was like, did they want to sign? My mom's like, yes. So I was like, check the whole like trip. And then
she's like, stop.
I know. She was like, okay, they all wanted to sign you, so you get your pick. And so it's so amazing. My manager that I had when I was 8, who was like my dream manager, is now my manager again as an adult, that we reconnected during the pandemic. And I was like, she was always like, as a kid, I was like, oh my God, she was like my person. I like loved her. And so we reconnected during the pandemic, and now we're working together again, which is like really, really
That's
cool.
crazy. She's still in the biz.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
So when did you really transition into voiceover acting and you're like, okay, this is my shit. Like, I'm going to be super successful at this.
I don't know if I ever made the conscious decision. I started doing just a ton of voiceover, and that was just something that I had been doing. I had a lot of practice doing it. When I was a senior in high school, I started going to college, and I was like, I really need to get like a job as an actor. I was working at Express so that I had like a job. And then my agent got me this audition at a place called Funimation, which does a lot of anime in Dallas. That was their headquarters. So I went to my first audition, booked a lead character on the show, and I was like, well, this would be great if you guys had like a lot of anime. And they had like 6 booths running at that time, all doing different shows. So I was auditioning, getting to know all the directors.
What does this mean? 6 booths running.
So each studio, like the Funimation office, each booth had its own show that it was recording.
Is a booth like a literal like a phone
little
booth?
recording? Yes.
Okay.
Some of them were whisper rooms. I think at that point they were, and now they've like built. They have like a studio that's built for them. But so they had like 6 different shows running at a time. There was one point where I was working there. You could record from 10 to 6, and then there was another show that would record from 6 to 10. So you had like there were like 12 shows running at the same time, and I was like, I want to be, even if it's just bits, I want to be able to say that I have worked on all 12 shows running at this time. So you would kind of like live at the studio and record.
So you book a job and they're like, great, you work Monday starting at 9 a.m. You're going to go inside the booth. Your sides are in there.
You never know what you're going to be. You never know what your sides look like. You never know what your script looks like. So you show up on the day for a session.
And you booked it because of the voice that you had.
Yeah, you'll audition. So like,
audition.
and different people have different, now, so when I worked at the studio, we had a binder. When a show would come out, they'd be like, we're casting for the show, and they'd have like a picture of the character and like 5 or 6 lines and a little breakdown. And so you would look through the book, and then you would get to go in and like read for who you thought you were right for. And sometimes they'd say like, oh, you do this character.
Oh, wow.
And some of the characters were not in the show at the beginning, or they were like types for that they had pulled from other shows that they knew we're going to need some bits or some guest stars.
You never know what role that character would be.
Correct.
You're just scrolling through the book
and
you're like,
oh, I think I look like my voice could fit her. So yeah, you would go in and read. Now everything is, I don't think there's any voiceover auditions that are done like in person. We like get our auditions throughout the day, and then I record them at night after my daughter goes to bed. Some people like to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and record everything in the morning.
Everything as in work or auditions?
All their auditions.
Okay.
So like sessions, and you can audition for, like you could have 10 to 20 auditions at night, because there's certain projects that they'll need 8 characters. So you have like 8 characters that you can read for, plus a commercial, plus like a video game, all these other things. And then there are some days that you're like, or weeks that you're like, I have no auditions. This is terrifying.
Wow.
But yeah, once you get the job, they'll say like, so we need you to come in for a video game. It's typically 4 hours. So it's usually a 9 to 1 or a 2 to 6. And they'll let you know it's going to be vocally stressful, or we're not doing any efforts. You'll be okay. And efforts are like getting stabbed, all the battle cries, all of that kind of stuff. So for an anime session, which is different from a video game session, you may only go in and work 2 hours, or you could work an 8-hour day with a lunch, depending on the day, because it's not as vocally strenuous. But you'll have your animation, and then you'll have the script. And
video animation.
Yeah, and you'll have to the animation is pre-done, so you'll have to bounce back and forth when you're seeing the line for the first time. They'll give you a preview, and you can kind of see the tone of what it was in the original language. Typically, it's Japanese, but it could be Chinese or Korean. So you watch their tone. Is this like a funny scene? Are they? Oh, they're screaming. This is like, and you get to preview it, and then you read the line, and then they give you 3 beeps and you do your first pass, and then they'll redirect or move on.
Okay, I can picture it because of ADR.
Yeah, it's very similar to ADR.
This is so fascinating that you don't memorize lines or anything like that, or even get the script.
You don't get the script ahead of time
For a movie? Like,
yeah, no, you have no idea. You'll have no idea what's coming.
Despicable Me?
Oh, yeah, you might like for a so that's prelay.
Okay.
So prelay, you usually don't have any picture, so there's a lot more freedom to it, and the script will come first. Usually with a prelay project, there will be some sort of scratch track. So, for example, I got to work on Addams Family 2. I auditioned for a bunch of characters just to do scratch track, which was like, we need to have a base audio guide so that we can do animation too. And then we're going to have like Charlize Theron, Chloe Grace Moretz, all of those people come in and do their lines. But it was during the pandemic, and so they couldn't get them to come in and do multiple passes, and they needed to get the animation moving. So the hope and the goal when you do scratch track on a project is that the team will be like, we really like you, here's this smaller role, or we're going to put you in the wallet track and you can do these background voices, so you still get to, you know, you still get the credit that you got to work on. So what
you were explaining earlier was you go in and do them a favor. You're being the
for scratch track.
Okay,
so you
scratch
get
track.
Yeah, so you'll get it is basically a favor, but it's also kind of like a paid audition just to get to know the production team.
Yeah. It's like being in a table read.
Oh my gosh.
Like being the being like,
yeah.
oh, I'll stand in for this actor and like read the lines.
Yeah. It's very much like being in a stand-in situation, but I had
but that's a big huge
film.
It's
you
know
so
what
much
I mean?
fun.
Yeah.
So I did scratch for that, and then they had said, so we have this other character that we can't quite place. Her name's Ophelia. She's like a pig girl, and I was like,
I'm a pig girl.
Please let me do it. And so then we did that for because they just needed coverage so they could animate to it. And so I voiced Ophelia, and then the next time we went around to do pickups for the scratch track, they said, so Ophelia got cut, and I was like, oh man, that's a bummer. And then they came back later when the rest of the cast was in and the movie was almost finished. They were like, so actually we really loved your Ophelia and we wrote her back. So now we want you to like record her for the movie. She's your girl. So that was really, really sweet. So I got to come back and do that again. But yeah, that's prelay. So nothing is set in stone. With anime, animation's already done. There's another language that it's been recorded in. Mm-hmm. So we have to dub it much like ADR. And we'll have to do that for live action ADR as well. So like for, I'm trying to think of like, there's been a lot of shows that I've worked on. One that I just recorded today, it's a show in Turkey. It's very, very popular. And HBO wanted to release it with an English dub. So we have to do the English voices for these Turkish actors. It's a hilarious project. But yeah, so that's two different types of dubbing, live action and animation or anime.
Okay. How would an actor pursue a career in voiceover acting in 2025?
It's very, very strange. As you know, this business is always changing and the rules are always changing. Mm-hmm. When I kind of fell into this world, I had just had a lot of experience in voiceover and they taught me how to dub. I had no idea of like how to match the lip flaps and do all of that stuff. And I was very fortunate because when I came out here, I had way more success when I came out here on camera. I think for the first year and a half, I couldn't get a voiceover agent, couldn't work on any voiceover projects, even though I had like for the last like 5 years been doing tons of voiceover. Because it's just like a competitive.
Is it?
It's a super tight knit world, and people, unlike with on camera, you can have somebody that can play like in Rugrats. They can play a baby for 20, 30 years. Yeah. So like, there's no way to like age out of stuff. Mm-hmm.
And you can record multiple things in a day.
Which is so cool.
It's not like you have to be here, like for me, you have to book out. Like,
no,
I'm filming the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. I physically, even though I booked that, I can't shoot it.
I can't do it. Yeah, it's and that's what's so tricky about doing on-camera stuff and voiceover stuff, or doing the same with like commercial and film and TV. Like, you can only be in so many places at one time. And I remember when I worked on 911 and I booked that, I was also recording a video game where I was like the lead character, and I had already had my session set for a month. So I had to call them and be like, guys, we got to reschedule. I got to reschedule for tomorrow. I got to go because we had to do like COVID testing for all that. I was like, I got to go get a test and do my fitting. I'm not going to be able to make it in.
So you could just rearrange something.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
hopefully you want to try to give them enough notice that they could get another actor in, so that the studio or the client is not left paying for studio time that's not being utilized. So, and that's not always the case. Like if you get sick and you have no voice and it's the morning of, you got to cancel, and that's just kind of the way it goes. But yeah, it's super tricky because for voiceover, you don't have to book out. Like I can say like, cool, let me just figure out how to set this in, as long as you have a client or an engineer that's like, totally, I will meet you at the studio at 11 o'clock at night. We just have to get these 12 lines done because we have a deadline. Like,
and it has to be in a studio, in a booth.
It has to be. So that was what was crazy during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Is like none of us, well, some of us did, but I did not have a studio in my house. And they said, we still got to figure out how to get this stuff recorded. So
you're
we were
filming
dubbing
actual
at home.
television in your home. These aren't just auditions.
Yeah.
You're filming the episode at home.
We worked the whole time during the pandemic. I worked in a tiny little closet underneath my stairs. And that's how I recorded like all these shows that were like, so like pop up on Netflix. And I was like, this was done in my little closet. But after that I was like, I'm buying a booth, because I learned the hard way, like working without a window or light.
Yeah. For hours at a time.
It's really bad for your mental health.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm so sad. Like,
you're under a stairwell. It's pitch black.
Yeah, it was like somebody goes, so it was like the Harry Potter closet. I was like, yeah, I would be in there for like 10 to 12 hours a day. Like not great. And you're just like looking over your screen, like bouncing back. And I was like, no, I'm getting lights from the screen. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's definitely not.
Not good. I'm getting light from the screen. I'm dead. No, I remember because Cherami and I worked on 911 together, which we were just talking about offline, was like both of one of our favorite on camera projects.
That was like such a lovely set.
So much fun. And we both worked, it was a guest star, but it was an 8-day thing.
But also the amount of like things that have to happen in that show, emergencies, the amount of emergencies that our characters went through, so absurd. Absurd. But it's the stuff that you're like, man, I would love to get to do this type of thing, this type of thing. And everybody would be like, yeah, sure, absolutely. You'll have the opportunity to have concrete poured on your car.
Right.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the chandelier falling. It was such a great episode.
It was so much fun.
I have people reaching out to me and be like, wait, are you Felisa from 911? and like that doesn't happen with a one-off guest star, but it was such a fun.
So much fun.
So for that audition, how was that? I mean, you going out a bunch for guest stars, recurring guest stars, stuff like that.
I audition like whenever stuff comes up, but it's like always tricky because like I have recording projects. So if something's like shooting in a different state, which I've had experience before, I'm like, I gotta figure out like a studio in this other state, and I might have to be the one to cover that studio fee because it would be free if I recorded here. Some actors might not offer that, but I'm like, well, I want to be able to have both. My cake and eat it too. Yeah, so let me 100%. Figure out how I can help make this easier for you.
And you
guys.
Can't do that in your hotel closet. I
probably might be able to. During the pandemic, everybody was very, very cool about trying to figure out how to make things work and let us record and do what we needed to do to get things figured out. But it was a lot on the engineers to try to like make everything sound like it was recorded in the same space.
Yeah.
And so I think that
we've shifted out of that
everybody
habit
back
now.
into the same studio, which I get. There's an energy that just comes from like getting up, getting ready, being in a space and like ready to collaborate that you don't have when you're at home and you're not around people. And with voiceover, you don't get to record with the other actors, so there's no banter. So it can be harder to like keep your energy up when you're like, I'm in a tiny closet with no light.
With my computer light.
Yeah.
So, okay, so someone, oh, hello. if someone wants to pursue a career in voiceover acting, even like me,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, where does one even begin? Do you put a reel together and record different voices? How do you come up with voiceover acting?
I approach this from just being an actor. I never set out to be a voice actor. I never was somebody, and I still am not somebody that I'm like, I can do funny voices. There's a lot of people that are great at impressions and they can do voice matches of people. And that is a facet of the industry, certainly. Doing ADR for huge celebrities that have to do the airplane cut. If something has a lot of cussing, they need you to be able to voice match so-and-so and so-and-so to like fix these lines so that they're safe for the airline or safe for a TV cut. So that's like...
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about this.
Yeah. So you'll go like...
explain this
so
clearly.
Like for... so because I remember this was years ago, but there was Gone Girl came out. There's a lot of like really heavy scenes. There's some TV stations that are like, we cannot have the actors saying these specific words, so you have to give us like a PG-13 rated version of this.
Well, yeah, I would assume the actor would go in and do that.
Sometimes
but
they're
too big.
It's not even that. Like sometimes they'll say like, we need this fixed by Friday, and the actors on set in the UK or Australia, we just have to, and they'll call like agents that they work with a lot and say like, send me 5 actors that you think sound like this person. And you used to be able to go like on the lot and everybody would sit in the same room. You'd all go in, like do the scene, and then you'd go sit down, and then the director would be like, okay, I'm gonna let this person go. And you'd like do like, it was like almost like a last man standing, like battle royale. Like there's you and another person. You're like, one of us is getting this job.
One of us is dubbing Charlize Theron.
Totally. So that used to be the case. Now it's basically they'll send you the audio files and you can record it from your computer, and then they'll let somebody know like overnight.
It's fascinating. I never knew that was even a thing.
It's so weird. And then even then you might do the job, and then the actor finds out, and they're like, no, I loved this character. This is a huge movie for me. Let me find a way. Get me a studio. Can the studio buy me more time? Can we do it on Sunday? So typically the actor does come in, but they just like to have coverage and have people come in. So you're doing a lot of like, I guess like stunt voice work just in case. But yeah, so voice matching is great. Being able to do impressions is great for that type of thing. But I just set out to be an actor.
Yeah.
And did not. I had no idea why I kept falling into these situations where people would say like, yeah, we want you to play this character or do more voiceover. I was talking to my husband the other day, and I said, I love getting to do dubbing, either live action or voiceover, because I feel like your left brain is where like all the numbers and you need to stand here and all the inner voice comes, and the right brain is all the creative stuff. But oftentimes I feel like as if you're doing stage or anything, film, TV, where you don't have to have any technical stuff running in your brain, your inner voice can start to like squash the creative voice because it doesn't have anything to do. So when you're dubbing, you've got the lip flaps, you've got the script, you've got all these things to keep the left brain quiet, and then the right brain can like be creative and fix all the problems, which is like a very fun, feels like a way of connecting both sides of my brain for me, which I love. But to tell people how to get into it, the easy answer, I think, is like be an actor, and not just doing voice classes. Like voice and diction classes are great. You need to know how to use your instrument. You need to know like how to scream in a way that's not going to shred your voice, or like to know like what your range is, that kind of stuff. But you're going to be creating characters. The people that are going to get the jobs and that are going to have shows that go on for a long time are the people that these animated characters or video game characters feel real and relatable to people, because we're storytellers. That's not going to change. So there's a lot of people that I know have wanted to get into voice acting in video games because they say, oh, I just get to do funny voices and I don't have to, get out of my pajamas. I just come in. It's like, no, it's a huge responsibility. It's a big job. It's a really competitive industry. So I tell people like, you should do movement classes because motion capture is a thing for video games. Sometimes you have to be able to do your own movement. So
and it's a big thing right now.
It is a big thing.
Video games, a lot of money in it too.
So feeling comfortable being able to move your body is necessary. Cold reading is essential because you never get your script ahead of time. So feeling comfortable.
There's a freedom in that.
Absolutely.
That sounds wonderful.
And you have to get really comfortable, like sight reading, that your first time reading the line might be your first time doing a take and making that work. Because you're booked by the hour. So the more lines you can get done in a 4-hour session makes people like more willing to hire you in the future.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because they're
like, Cherami can do.
Yeah, she's quick. She's got it down. We're not going to burn as many takes, and that also gives them the freedom to like, ooh, well, we could try this read that's a little more out of the box rather than getting a lot of safe reads just so that they know they get the project done. So it allows for a little bit more creative freedom in the recording process.
So could I, like, if I wanted to start doing voice acting, can I put together a reel?
There are a lot of people. I would always say to like work with, there's a lot of vocal coaches who are great. Some specialize in commercials, some specialize in video games, some specialize in animation and anime. A lot of people have a audiobook narration reel, they have a video game reel, they have an anime reel, they have a visual reel, like they have all these different reels. I think a commercial reel is probably, if you were going to start with something, is the safest bet.
Yeah.
Because you can show a lot of things and you don't have to come up with necessarily different voices.
Totally.
But you're just right, like, it's different tone.
Yeah.
So like one of this is a PSA. One of these is like a
airline.
fun, like an airline thing. One of them's going to be a fun Neutrogena spot. One of these is going to be like a radio spot. Like you think of all these different like tones and projects to show your versatility of being an actor. And then once you're more comfortable doing that, then sending in character reels and I think it's essential to have a producer either to write scripts for you or to help write scripts so that you're not, if you're just pulling scripts from somebody's library, you don't want to have the same script as like somebody else on their reel.
Would you say you can ChatGPT a script?
Oh, I would be really nervous to do that because I don't know if ChatGPT would like send like 4 actors doing the same thing, the same script, and then your demo has the same thing.
Okay, this is a demo.
Yeah. So it's like to get a demo basically is just for you to get an agent.
Okay.
And sometimes projects will ask for demos, but more often than not, they'll say, we'd love to hear a demo just to hear your versatility and the range of your voice. But more than likely, you'll have to audition for the project anyway, just so they see how you sound on that specific character. But when you're putting together a demo, you want to do like, I always think like the youngest you can play and the oldest you can play. And then if you can do a couple accents, like throw a couple of those in there. But making sure that you feel really solid doing those. But yeah, like if you're a lot of male cartoon characters are voiced by women. So like I always tell women, I'm like, if you're going to do a demo and you feel comfortable, throw a boy voice on there just because it gives you a lot more versatility.
Not a lot of people are probably doing that.
Yeah. I mean, some people are doing younger, but like I guess like 11, 12 is a really hard age to nail. I was very nervous to do a boy voice the first time I did that, and I was very thankful that I had a director that let me come in a background Wallace session. He was like, "All right, we're gonna find a voice for this kid. He's like 5 or 6," and I was terrified, but it was a nice way to get to play and figure out what worked and what didn't in this safe space in a working environment of like getting to find what that sounds like for me because it's different for everybody.
What does a director do in those sessions in the booth? They're on Zoom with you.
Sometimes they're just like outside the window.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so same as directing on set.
Yeah.
They're just like, let's do another take. Oh, she's really scared. Let's ramp that up a little bit.
Or like for like a video game, we often don't see what the world looks like yet.
Yeah, okay.
So sometimes they'll give us some animation, but like I remember there was a game, Cyberpunk 2077 I was working on, and they said, so we're going to do 2 takes of this because because we don't know how much rain is going to be on this rooftop. Is it going to be like a torrential downpour? And that's going to change based on your proximity. And also, are you shouting over the rain?
Yeah.
Are you guys 2 feet apart? And because you don't know any of those things, sometimes and they don't have the answers because the cinematic team is like still working on it. So it's a lot of work in progress stuff, which is really fun for an actor. Nothing is precious, and if you make a mistake, like, it's fine. We can just delete it and we'll start again.
And we'll do it again.
Whereas with on camera, I think it's a lot more pressure if you bust a take.
Totally. Well, there's
a lot more moving pieces.
A lot more literal moving visual pieces.
Yeah. And if you bust a take but everybody else is flawless, you don't want to be that person.
Totally. And I would say 80 people are watching us in that moment on set, you know, depending on the set, of course, but any network television show, film, you know what I mean? So yeah, you got a lot more people watching
it is like always, which there is this element on set for on camera as well. But like I've always told actors in voiceover or on camera, you never know who's listening and you never know what mic is live. Because you might be seeing that there's 2 clients in the studio and then they bring up the Zoom screen and you're like, whoa, there's 18 clients in a marketing unit in Chicago. And like, I just thought I was talking to these guys and we were all good, but I don't know how these people are responding to, like, just always being aware of, like, you never know who's listening. You never know. And that's the same thing on a set.
Same thing on a set, yeah.
Who's got headphones?
But that is very interesting because the Zoom thing, you can't see anyone sometimes. See anybody. It's like auditioning even on Zoom. It's like,
oh yeah, it's terrifying.
Oh my God.
And if it's a network session or a producer session, or I kind of miss like being able to see the people's faces, because I know that they turn off the screen to conserve the power and not like mess up the read because they don't want a Zoom glitch. But it's just like it's nice to get to see people's
10
faces.
black boxes.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. And then just to think that they're all just making their own, they're just like watching
and you can't see them.
You can't see their reaction or anything. We're talking about auditioning for on-screen acting for TV and film. And when you're on a Zoom, it's like a lot of times if it's a callback, the network is there and producers are there. So you can have anywhere from, it's as little as 4 people now because they send these tapes off so far. But yeah, it can be anywhere from 4 to 20 people, depending on who wants to show up, I guess. I don't know what the barometer for showing up is.
It's nice when I just miss getting to be in the room for those because you got to like see people's faces. And I feel like in some ways it made it easier for like the adrenaline push, but it also, you could see the humanity of them. Yeah. And if they loved it, you felt like you were on top of the world. Now you're like, I have literally no idea how that went.
No idea.
I think I might have done okay, but they may have hated it. I don't know because it was a black box either way.
And then you don't know afterwards either because they don't tell you. It's not like you get something from your agent where it's like, oh, casting just emailed us.
And that's the same thing with voiceover. Like that's one of the things that I miss about things pre-pandemic is it's a lot easier for me to send off auditions now, but I miss getting to go into the room. You could get a redirect, and sometimes that redirect would mean that you got the job. But now you can't do it. You just gotta like hope that was the right vibe.
Yep.
And for voiceover, you can send out hundreds and hundreds of auditions and not hear anything back, and be like, I don't know what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong because I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah.
And then you'll check in with people. They're like, oh no, they love you.
Yeah.
And you're like,
okay,
do they?
Good to know. It also would be nice to know because it feels for me, dude, when I get any sort of like, oh no, that went to producers.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That's great. Like someone liked my performance
enough to send it on.
Put together for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what's so tricky about this business is like, we love getting to do it. We love every opportunity. We love getting to play these characters. But like a little piece of our heart goes into every single one of them.
Yeah.
So like when you don't get it, it's sad because that, you loved that. You were excited about the possibility. You were proud to send it on.
And it gets harder and harder if your tape goes further and further.
Yeah.
Or your audition.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Or you see what it became. and you're like, oh, and sometimes that's nice to see who got it if they were a totally different energy from you, and you go, oh, I see in this unit, my performance had no place, and that's totally fine.
That's definitely easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even when they physically look different.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they went a totally different direction, you know?
And that's fine.
Okay, so I want to get into some of the work you've done, but I wanted to ask you really quick, how do you, do you practice voices where you're like, oh, let me dabble, like the little boy? Like, so are you by yourself in a mirror being like,
no.
Hey.
No, I usually don't practice voices. If the only time I will try to find a voice, and actually usually it's just like what my first instinct is, I will look at the breakdown as it comes in. And that's another thing that's so nice is you don't have to pick out an outfit. You don't have to find the look for the character. You don't have to do like all that. Because that's a lot of prep just for one character. So when I'm doing like 10 auditions, 10 o'clock at night, I don't always have the time or the bandwidth to be so precious with every single one. So it's like, it kind of like takes all of that second guessing and critical thinking out of the way. Now what does get in the way is when you go, oh, I know what this project is. I would love to work on this show. Oh yeah. This is, and you start to like second guess. Right. Oh, this is what the tone is. This is what this person
the instinct
like.
goes away, which is like the most precious part.
So I don't know if that's just because I think I'm a very intuitive actor. Some people like to do beat changes and work through all of those things, and that's great. That's not ever been the case for me. I just read the scene and go like, how does this scene feel? What does it evoke in me, and what does that look like when it comes out in the character? But yeah, if I'll look at like a character that I played, his name is Kotaro. It was an anime on Netflix. He's a 4-year-old boy that turns 5. I got to co-direct the show. I did not think that I was going to get to act in the show because we were going to have a child. But Kotaro had so many lines, and we had a very tight deadline, and we could not get a child to work that many hours.
Yeah.
And so we suddenly had to switch.
Adults play 5-year-olds all the time, though.
Yeah, because it's a lot of, if they've already set a release date for the show, and you have, 18 characters that have to record, like, you're like, we can't get a kid to record this much. So we had like 15 different adult actors read. They took all the slates off, just sent it over. And I remember the producer called and was like, so they want you to do it. Can you direct? Do you want to play Kotaro? And I was like, I love this little boy so much. Yes, absolutely. Aww. But I was then terrified because I had a really bad cold. And that's my audition was like very nasally, like with a little bit of a cold. And I was like, oh no, now I have to replicate me with a cold for this little 4-year-old boy. But like that was one that you just look at like, okay, so he spoke very formally, and he had a little kind of like scrappy quality about him. So I wanted like a little bit of a rasp in the voice. He's younger, so he had a little bit of a nasal quality, but he was very eloquent with his speech. So I wanted everything to be very enunciated. And so you just take all those little pieces and then go, okay, that's analytically the choices I'm making. Now, what does that sound like when I start reading the words? And then you kind of just like, oh, I didn't like how that sounded. I'll redo that line again. Oh, that was an interesting take. Maybe this is what he meant there. But all of the choices in the auditions with the line are from an acting perspective. Once I analytically pinpoint, like, how does this sound in the voice? So I do the technical stuff first, and then, like, how does that analytically sound, intuitively sound when I play the character.
When you do these shows, there's so many episodes, right? You're playing this character for a long time, or depending on how many seasons it gets picked up or whatever. But do you ever get terrified that you lost the voice that you created?
Yeah. So there's been a few shows. I've been very lucky that I have played these characters for over 10 years. One of the characters I worked on 15 years ago. She has a very, very high-pitched voice. And just like with the nature of screaming, dying 1,000 deaths every day, your voice just gets a little lower.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
What character was it?
There were 2. There's one in a show called Strike, which is named Yoshka. And she talks way up here. And so I was like, I don't know if I could do that again. And then Lizzie is, she's a British girl and she looks very appealing, but she goes all the way up in like the stratosphere when she gets very excited. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So they'll play your reference from the very first time you came in to record. And there's many times where I go, whew, say a prayer.
Let me see what I can conjure up.
And usually I overshoot and they go, that feels real high. And I was like, okay, cool. We still that range. I just got to go a little bit lower. I didn't have to try as hard.
So it probably just takes a little.
Yeah, they'll usually play you like 3 to 5 lines as a reference. Anytime you go into the booth, whether you've been playing this character like last week or every day. When I worked on Cyberpunk, I recorded that game almost every day for like a year and a half. And they would be like, do you want to hear your reference? I was like, I heard we just did this an hour. We just had an hour lunch break. And they're like, we'll play you a reference. So like, because they just want to make sure that everything's consistent.
Yeah, so, I'm sure.
But yeah, after you get sick or if you're feeling like a little under the weather,
or age 10 years.
Yeah, or age 10 years, you're like, oh, is this going to sound the same? That's always like a little nerve-wracking.
Do you have any rituals that you do when you go into the booth to record for 1,000,000 hours?
Oh, if I know it's a long day, I will become a beverage gremlin, and I'll have water for sure. I'm so coffee.
Sorry.
No worries. I'll have a coffee, and then or something caffeinated. It's usually a coffee, and then I will always have a hot tea as well. So I have like a little bit of
that would be me.
Yeah,
multiple beverages and treats. Are you a treat girl?
It depends.
Okay.
Sometimes, well, and you also have to think of like when you're recording, like whatever you eat. It's not for me. It's not burping. It's like whatever the snack you have. Like sometimes it creates like a little mouth noise.
Oh.
So a trick that there's a couple studios that have. They have green apples in the booth, and it'll like suck any extra moisture out, so it cleans out the.
My boyfriend
clips.
and I do that. We eat apples after like any type of. We're like, do you want an apple to like wash that away?
Yeah. It just like it takes out any sort of like extra.
That's
noise.
funny. That's a great apples.
Yeah, green apples. So when you walk into a studio, you're like, what is this pile of green apples doing in the booth? Like, there's usually water and apples, and like sometimes cough drops.
Oh yeah, there you go. Is there anything else that you do to stay vocally healthy and on point? Because this is your job.
It is my job. We did
7 days a week.
We did The Last of Us Part 2 video game.
Oh wow!
And I got to play like a bunch of enemies. Our sessions would only be 2 hours because. They would say like your throat's going to be ripped by the end of this session because they would want like they're really good about we're going to do like high intensity, low intensity, but like we're going to be doing very aggressive stuff like you're going to be drowning today. We're going to do all of the deaths of you drowning, and so we need you to be drinking water and gurgling and like going through all of this stuff, screaming, all of that. It's all these like very fun, weird things, but the emotional component has to be there. And as you know, anytime you're doing any sort of like heavy emotional stuff, like it's exhausting. And then you're also doing this like vocal screaming on top of it. So your voice is shredded. And then you have to figure out how to last through. Hopefully you don't have another session after that. But there's a syrup that people have dubbed Hulk juice because an actor who voiced Hulk would take this like throughout the session. And it really feels like when your throat feels like Swiss cheese, it just feels like it coats it and like fills in the holes. It's not going to like recover your voice, but it will be enough to help you like get through the session. And then you got to go on vocal rest, drink a lot of water, drink a lot of tea, have oranges, use a humidifier, those kinds of things, and just like help it heal
Hulk
as fast
juice.
as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to.
You have to. Yeah.
What has been one of your favorite jobs that you've done?
It's so when you sent the questions over and you're like, what was your first dream job? I read it as what was my first time, because there's been many times where I've been like, this is my dream job. Like this is.
And you've done that thing.
Well, like anytime I book a project.
Oh, you're like, this is my dream job. Like, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
this is so much fun.
This is so, there's a moment with every character that I have played where I go, oh, this is why I got cast. Like this is the little like magic essence that this character and I share. And this is why we have like a little moment or like a little scene where it just like emotionally hits me and I'm like, this is the spark. Because like there's been characters that I've gotten cast as where I wonder, so 8 years from now or 8 years prior, would I have gotten this character? Because what I was dealing with in my life, was there something about us that like meshed in that way? And the longer I've gotten to play a character, 10, 15 years, we have more of those moments. But like I have to remind myself, because unlike a set where you kind of get to like marinate and enjoy like, oh my gosh, I'm in this costume. I'm like on the set. I'm like talking to these actors. Like you get to kind of like live and embody it. For voiceover, you drive to the studios all look the same. You get out, you record, you get back in, you go to the next thing. So I have to try to imprint upon myself when I'm working on something. I'm like, man, what a great session that was. I never would have thought that I would have gotten to do that, or I didn't know I was capable of that. And just like having a moment of gratitude. And I don't know if I would be as intentional about taking those moments. Because when you're on set, you're like, oh my God, I'm on the lot. Like that always feels magical.
Totally.
And I hope that it never isn't magical. And not that going into recording a studio isn't great, but I always remind myself I know what it feels like to not get the job.
Yeah.
That even though the studio might not be a lot or I might not get a costume, I get to voice a superhero.
Right.
I get to do all.
And then do you watch it?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I do watch. There's games that I'll play. I've never finished a game that I've worked on, because I don't want to say goodbye to them completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are scenes where I'm like, that was really fun. I do want to watch that. And my family sometimes will watch stuff that I'm in. Mm-hmm. They definitely watch. My mom and my husband watched Coach Rowe Lives Alone. They said, we'll watch one episode. We know you co-directed it and you played him. And this was your life for like 2 months. And they binged it. And they're like, this is our favorite thing you've done. I'm like, they're like, when's another season? I was like, I have no say.
Is there going to be another?
I would love
it
that.
It would get picked up. It's like one of those things where it has to get picked up.
Usually with anime, because there will be multiple mangas that are already written. Mangas like the comic book that comes, so you will know like, oh, there's multiple volumes. This is going to be a big show. We have a lot of years coming. But you never know. Like, I don't think that you would ever know that something would run for like 10 years. You might be like, oh, we might get 2 to 3 seasons. And now that there's more and more content being produced, you definitely don't know if something's going to get multiple seasons. We got a second season for a show 5 years later after the first season.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like that doesn't happen with traditional like
I think everybody on screen would be like, I've moved on.
Yeah. I'm literally
I had to get another job.
Yeah, exactly. I'm contractually bound to this other thing. Well, it's first of all, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
Sharing your ground up story. It's so cool to see because you have done so much, so many different characters that people revere and love.
That's very sweet.
And so you go to all these Comic Cons and you have people like, wow, you're the voice of
weird
Sailor Venus.
Yeah,
right?
Sailor Venus.
Sailor Venus of Sailor Moon. And like, it must just feel, that must be such a part of it where it's like, yes, I go in the booth by myself. Yes, I'm under a library or under my staircase doing these. Yeah. But that's probably the part too that I'm sure feels so wonderful to like connect with.
That's so special and so fun. And some actors, that's not their vibe and their energy because it is a totally different element. When you get to travel to a convention on the other side of the country, 20 minutes away on the other side of the world, I'm always shocked that there's people that want to come talk to me. Yeah. And I'll tell my mom, I'm like, the first time we went, I was like, I'm just a voice for a cartoon character.
I'm just
like,
a girl.
Why do they want to talk to me about this? But they connect with the characters so much and the stories that they share and the like the experiences that they've gone through and that it's such a lovely, it's why we human beings, we crave connection and unity and all of that. And so to know like these little characters are like holding hands with me, like there's a book that I read to my daughter called The Invisible String. These characters are like the invisible string that connects all of us together. And it just, when the world feels really heavy and dark, I go, oh my gosh, there's a show I work on called Fairy Tale. I'm like, there are Fairy Tale Guild members all around the world that like have each other's back. And it was so, because when you're recording in the booth and it's voiceover, nobody really knows what you look like. Nobody cares. So it feels sort of like, oh, nobody watches the show. Nobody talks to you about it.
Totally.
But when you go to a Comic-Con, then you're like, no, people love these characters. And this is a really cool thing to be a part of. But like the cast will all be messaging each other. We're like, oh my gosh, that Olympian has a Fairy Tale Guild tattoo.
What?
And so like that was
crazy.
that's super, super fun. It makes the world feel a little bit smaller. It makes people feel a little bit more accessible. But Comic-Cons are their own beast. Like you travel, you work all during the week. You'll take a red eye. Or in my case, my daughter goes with me with my husband and my mom. So we're like a little traveling circus.
That's so fun.
And we go to conventions. I get to hang out and talk to all these really, really lovely people. They share their art with me. They dress up as the characters. They're incredibly gifted artisans expressing their love for the show and like in their, art of choice. And it's really, it never gets old. But I know for some people, the travels just feels too much. Getting to stand or talk to people for like 7-8 hours a day feels really daunting. And so I totally get it. It's not for everybody, but it is, like you said, it's such a special piece if it's something that people love to experience, because for me, it makes the world feel a little bit more connected, and it kind of reminds you, like, if there's a lot of animosity that you're seeing, like, people are people,
right.
and we all have so much in common, and just to connect over a cartoon character or a video game, you go like, okay, people are really lovely.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cherami.
Thank you.
I'm going to put all of your information in the show notes so
cool.
everyone can follow you and follow along on your journey.
Yeah.
And I know that you help actors. Do you have a course? Do you have a workshop?
I don't have a
voiceover
class that I do. I've done like panels and things at conventions, but I have not. I have many a friend that do classes and voiceover workshops and things like that. So whenever they're doing sessions or mentorship programs, I always like share their links on my social media.
Great. And then maybe I'll have you send me a couple of your favorite acting workshop, voiceover acting workshops or teachers or whatever, and I can put it in the show notes for the listeners. Okay, Cherami, thank you.